All right. I think everyone probably knows who you are by now, but let's do some quick introductions.
Sure. I went drinking with a bunch of folks last night, so I surely know you guys. Some of you are, not all of them made it this morning. Head of marketing at Pokeworks. Joined the company about a year and a half ago, mostly to help transform marketing there and work on a bit of driving growth back at the brand. But excited to talk about loyalty.
Yeah. So you relaunched your loyalty program in November of last year. So how did you know it was time to find a new loyalty partner?
Yeah, every time a contract comes due,
That was it?
that was pretty much it. It's such a rare opportunity for multi-year contracts to be over. I love taking a look at what's out there in the market, and loyalty today is purely software driven.
Yeah.
And so, with these platforms, you sign up and pray like hell that they're going to innovate real fast. It's not always the case, but new tech is always coming out, and it was time for us to take a look.
So what problems were you trying to solve when you were looking for new technology?
So we had a couple that we needed to figure out. Pokeworks was one of the first small brands to launch loyalty programs and rewards. I think it was quite a few years back. However, for us, we needed to solve the top of funnel, and then we needed to solve frequency. So, for us, it's kind of, we kind of ask ourselves, well, how frequently can people eat raw fish? Turns out, not that frequently. You got to cook stuff. I do wish we sold fried chicken, but we don't. So we needed to solve that, and we had very distinct issues. So the two things that we were out looking for in the market to solve the top of funnel was how is the platforms engineered to help with acquisition and capture, right? And that's not something you can readily solve with just incentives. And so you could, find the right platform that for your brand is just building in that capture mechanism. And this has everything to do with application design, like order flow, UI design. And it's also not something a platform can promise you that they're going to build at some future month, because the engineering part is actually the hard part. The incentives are typically very easy to implement. So that was the first thing. The second thing was for the frequency bit, we had a program for quite a few years where you had to purchase a certain amount, you earn a certain amount of points, and then we give you dollar value, dollar discounting. The issue with that is discounting for a brand like Pokeworks is not compatible with selling fresh, high-quality fish. So we had this issue where we built right into our program a discount mechanism for years. And so we needed to remove that. And then we started looking around. And very specifically on the engineering side, we needed to make sure that we were finding a solution that had passwordless login and passwordless acquisition. So, and we talked about this yesterday, which is I worked actually on software products that started using passwordless about 10 years ago. And the acquisition dramatically increases when you don't make somebody tell you their birthday, their first and last name, their phone number, blood type, what's their first kid's first name, and it's really important. And so I saw this in a lot of software products, and when we looked on the market, there are very few options for small brands like ours that has that engineered in. And coming from a software background, I knew that if someone from sales folks, told me that, hey, that's on the roadmap, it means it's not happening. Not until the next renewal. So that was key. So we were trying to solve those two problems, and we were looking for specific capabilities.
Yeah. So you needed a easier way to acquire these customers. You needed a way to increase their visit frequency. You needed out of the box technology. What was the vetting process like? How long of a journey did that take you?
We started 6 months out from when we had to launch. So it took us a while. We spoke with tons of different companies. We downloaded an insane number of apps. And we just went through, we signed up. And it turns out that a lot of platforms out there just fell off of our consideration list just because, in real world usage, it just didn't match what we were looking for.
Yeah, yeah. During that 6-month evaluation period, as you're looking for the new technology, were there other things that you were doing to kind of ready the brand for a new loyalty program?
Yeah, so this was really important for us. We actually spoke with all of our franchisees, and we actually, we went to them. We kind of told them, hey, this is roughly what we're going to be doing, and turns out there's always somebody that's unhappy with what you're planning. So, but we needed to get it out there. But the second thing was we actually took that time and opportunity to do two things. We also checked with our other major marketing channels to make sure that the integrations would work seamlessly, and very specific integrations. So for us, we see an obscene amount of ROI out of SMS marketing. And so the platform we chose needed to natively have a really strong integration with our SMS marketing platform. And then we took the time to just redo all of the unit economics for our rewards. So we're moving from a discount or a $1 off scheme to a reward marketplace. So, on a ladder, like what does that ladder look like? How much does it cost us? We were working with our product sourcing team to figure out the exact COGS. So we just wanted to engineer it where our cost would fall about 90% on the COGS that we give away. And then at the same time, we can accelerate frequency.
So this marketplace, you're almost like giving choice back to the customers, right? Like they want to choose what reward they get. They don't want to be locked into getting this side or this piece of edamame.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly, the choice is important. Actually, there was more choice in our old program because we were giving them a $1 value. They could choose whatever they want. However, the issue with that is folks will typically they don't value, or they didn't value our rewards that much because you had to actually make 5 purchases before we gave you anything. So it wasn't, they had more choice, but they didn't value that choice that much.
Yeah.
And so, now you can make one purchase, typically one purchase, 2 purchases, and you can immediately get something. And so our goal was to get you to come in, earn points, immediately spend it on a super low cost item for us. That's high value to our guests. So
you went from a passwordless login, and then you went from hey, after 5 purchases you get a reward, down to 1 to 2 purchases you get a reward, right?
Yep.
So what were those results? What impact have you seen?
Yeah, so excluding kind of the 2 months during the migration, we're seeing about a 4x increase in terms of monthly acquisition. So we are, growing our rewards member base 4 times faster than we were before. Keep in mind, it's no marketing. I mean, the only way you could figure it out is if you visit our website or you walked into our store.
Yeah.
So this is kind of baseline. We wanted to see what would happen if we did nothing. And we're currently growing at about 4x faster.
Are you also finding that those new customers are coming more frequently as well?
Yeah, frequency has increased.
Yeah.
So the combination of the increased usage of our rewards program and also just the sheer volume of new guests coming in, we've seen our overall loyalty sales climb up to about 50% year on year.
And that's with no marketing the program other than like existing POP and restaurant?
No, so we haven't. So our actual, even the promotional offers that we've used, we are way below. So revenue has grown substantially. Our promo cost has fallen off a cliff. But we're excited. It gives us a really good starting point for what we plan to do next.
Do you have plans to put some marketing, whether paid or organic, behind it?
We do, but so far nothing. We've been out there speaking with various vendors, app download services and campaigns. The numbers just don't work out yet.
Yeah. I want to talk about the passwordless login to improve acquisition. So many times I think we can get locked in I have to have a really big incentive in order to get people to sign up, right? And then we catch ourselves. It's like they're going to sign up, they immediately delete the app, unsubscribe from the list. Was that ever a consideration for you guys to have an incentive, or were you like, listen, it goes against the quality of our ingredients if we're discounting our food?
Yeah, so we do have incentives in the form of points. We give you enough points to come in for something nice as an accompaniment to your meal. We have recently, in the past year, removed discounting on our core products, which are our entrees. So we're happy to give you a drink, give you a spam musubi, give you anything except raw fish at a discount.
You know, there's a lot of things that I would pay at a cheaper price. Raw fish is not one of them. I think I want to pay full price for I'm not going to get discount LASIK. Like I'll pay full price for that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the technology side of piece, because I think that gets lost, and especially as a growth brand, right, where you have to rely on out-of-the-box technology and you have to rely on third-party partners, you're kind of beholden to them. So what questions should we be asking our partners to understand that they're right for our business?
So a couple things. I think one, just having flexibility in the platform. A lot of we don't have developers in-house, right? We're really reliant on white-labeled platforms. So I think the first thing is flexibility in the actual construction or the makeup of the app. The more similar it is to a Shopify or a Squarespace, the better. Yeah. Just because as marketers, you don't want to have to go to your partner every single time you want to change something. The second thing is, how have they engineered the user experience so that your capture rate is extremely high? You can do whatever promotions you want, you can give whatever you want away, but at the top of the funnel, if it's not engineered into the platform to acquire rewards members, you just can't fix that. Yeah. You're not going to fix it for years.
Yeah. You alluded to it in the beginning of if it's not a part of the technology, it's I'll put it on the roadmap, right? Like that's the worst response I can get as a marketer, because I know it's going into a black hole. Have you ever successfully seen a third-party provider change something that you requested and like it came to fruition on their roadmap?
We did, actually. So this is the great part. It's kind of a Goldilocks situation where for us, we just needed to find a team with a lot of really good engineers. And so that was another thing. So, during the actual process, if they've got you speaking with engineers and they've got you speaking with customer success folks that really know things at a technical level, that's usually a really good sign. And for us, we were able to get our current platform, thanks to help implement a certain capability or feature. But to be frank, the way we did that was I hassled them relentlessly for the past half a year or so. But then I also showed them data that says, look, this works. If you build this, not only will I use the hell out of it, I'll go and talk to other brands that don't have this feature, and I'll pitch your product for you. So I'll be schlepping Thanks product next week at RLC. But it works amazing. And the thing is, if you can show them data that it works, it's really compelling, but they do have to have the right engineers. Right. But we were talking about this yesterday. So we kind of hacked our way through a particular promotion in March where we had it trigger for 4 of the Fridays in March, right, for Fish Fridays. And it doubled our loyalty sales in March over February, which is insane. Wow.
And so you're not, you talked about how you're not discounting your core with these offers, right? But you are still tying loyalty to some of your core menu items to drive trial, right?
Yep. Yep. So for us, if we're launching something new, we will say, come on in, we'll give you extra points. We will maybe give you a discount on a drink to really flesh out your meal. But when we look at how to drive behavior, the one thing we learned was, people that use loyalty apps for our brand are more likely to just use our loyalty app. We don't see a massive overlap with, let's say, there is an overlap, but their tendencies don't change that much. So, we know that our particular segment of loyalty members are looking for something very specific. Yeah. And there's only about 4 types of promos that have worked magically. And we just use our loyalty app to basically deploy that, right? For example, coupon clippers are gonna just use coupons. It sounds insane, but we no longer try to do anything crazy like, hey, it sounds really good to convert these third-party DoorDash users to our branded app. We just don't see it. We've tried for a couple quarters, it doesn't work, and for really good kind of inherent platform reasons, right?
You said there's 4 promos that really work. So it's like, sometimes I think we overcomplicate the offer process. Like when you find something that works, like just use it again. Customers don't really care that it's unique offers, right? They just want something that they're going to be valuable to them.
Yeah, so unless it's like Christmas and I'm looking for Chinese food, very specifically because everything else is closed, what we found is that, at least in our concept, folks are dining with us because they're expecting a certain level of service, quality, freshness, et cetera. They're looking for that particular flavor, maybe like twice a month. They don't exactly come to us because, we promoted something on Easter very specifically, and this has changed the way that we market. So this is gonna sound really boring for all the really creative minds here, but for us, we went and we flipped it. We went back several years. We looked at all the tiny campaigns that we ran, the ones that generated outsized impact. We just stretched it out and laid it out over more days, and then we would go and hunt for holidays and skin the holidays around our offers rather than try to come up with a creative marketing campaign for that holiday. So we know the 4 offers that work for us, and we just look at all the holidays in a year and we're like, can we make these things tied together? And it sounds weird because I'll give you one that works really well for us. Point earning schemes worked really well. We discovered this about a year and change ago. We used to give a discount on our Poke Bowls for Lent. It was fine. It generated some great, great lift, minor double-digit lift. But with the double points or triple points, we use that during certain periods, and we actually created a Pokeworks only holiday in October, because for us it was slow. So we're like, there's no holiday in October we could give double points on. We're like, screw it, we'll make one up. So we called it the October 2x2. That just doesn't exist. Like, what the hell is a 2x2? So we just did 2 weeks of double points, and our sales just skyrocketed for those 2 weeks.
So you don't even have to have a national event going on. Like, you don't like it, just make it up, is what I'm hearing.
I mean,
it's the beauty of working in marketing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, our micro, it's like a micro version of just Amazon making stuff up. Like Amazon Prime Day, you've got Alibaba's own holiday. If you find out something that works, and a holiday doesn't exist, make one up.
Last question before we open it up to the crew. What's the next big evolution for Pokeworks? Where are you taking it from here?
Hot foods.
Hot food?
Yeah, so we recently launched our Hawaiian hot plates. We actually put off our LTO schedule for this year in anticipation and of launching hot foods. So, it's the big challenge for Pokeworks is that we really wanted to stick to our knitting around selling poke, but we had the opportunity to create a plate lunch option, and we tested that for a few quarters. It performed really well, and so we're kind of putting our energies behind that, but we'll see how it does. It's been really, really strong so far.
I love a good tease. All right, questions for Ha. This is it, guys. This is your final opportunity.
Hi, I'm Melissa with USIM. I wanted to understand from your app platform what sort of audience insights you get, and then if you're leveraging that for any lookalike modeling and some of the other channels that you run.
When you say audiences, can you describe what you mean?
Yeah, sure. So beyond transactional data that you can see within the app, is there anything else that gives you a sense of the household composition, the life stage they're in, anything that enriches the customer profile that then can transcend across multiple touch points?
Oh, I love this. So the great thing about being a small brand is we've got no money to buy a lot of data. Michael will tell you, he was trying to sell me stuff. I was like, man, Michael, I'll help you find the other big brands to talk to, but I got nothing for you right now. So for us, the way we did it is just we're inferring information, and we haven't had the ability to do this. And the great thing about doing something like inferring kind of user demographics or behavior is that typically, instead of asking people like, who are you, male, female, gender, like what's your household income, usually, or even what they like to eat, some of those things they'll never tell you. And so I forgot who it was that commented, like, everybody wanting healthy food, it's not real. Like everybody wants to believe that they're healthy. They're pounding as many sugary drinks as they can, right? So, we look at purchase history data, and then also behaviors. And so what we found was, if you really break this down, there are people or users in specific channels that, I don't really look at them by, let's say, gender or household income per se. I'll look at them as, hey, who responds particularly well to me giving them a spam musubi? Who responds particularly well to, a double point scheme? And oftentimes it's different people. Recently I took a look at, and this is great if you have lean teams, just use ChatGPT because they've actually built in a lot of Python capabilities, which is, I used to work with data science teams, and that's what they all use, except now you get like a 99% discount on data science. We took a look at just purchasing behavior of folks that would buy more than one entree. We used to believe that most of our customers were coming in and making one purchase. They were, we didn't really have many like family orders. Turns out that wasn't true. So we have far more single entree orders. And while that was what we expected, what we didn't expect was when we segmented out, who are the folks that purchases more than one entree and how do they purchase? And so when we took a look at this, and by the way, this is how we're segmenting. We're just segmenting based off of real life like behavior. We just saw that everybody that purchased one entree, their behavior was they'll buy it at lunch, and 90% of the transactions happen at lunchtime. Only like 10% of all those transactions happened in our evening day part. So on the other side of it, the folks that purchased more than one entree, the insane thing is far fewer transactions, but the absolute dollar value exceeded those of single entree buyers. And on top of that, they purchased equal amounts at dinner time as they did at lunchtime. So this is going to change the way that we're going to market to those particular guests. Sorry, long-winded answer to your question. We don't, I don't think we have a really extensive data set, but we're building that out now, and a lot of it is just based off of inference rather than like, hey, this is deterministic data.
One more back here.
Hey, man. You guys, you're a smaller budget. You have smaller budgets than a lot of the other brands in the room. If you found and were given $200,000, for example, tomorrow, what's the first thing you'd spend it on? Yeah.
It's the Harris poll is the answer. The Zeke, yeah.
That was not a leading question. I was not fishing.
I think engineers, right?
Actually, I would never hire engineers right now. It's for a few reasons. One, super expensive. Two, super expensive. So that's a great question. Actually, this year, for the first time in our company's history, we're actually going to have an excess of budget. So, we don't have a truly productive way at the ROI that we're looking for to deploy it. At some future point, we're probably going to do some much more extensive media buying. But with what we've seen so far, the growth rates that we're achieving are, I think, we're doing it fairly organically. I talked about boring SEO yesterday. And it's boring, it's inexpensive, it just happens to drive insane growth. We're not going to just spend money just because we have the budget for it. But the second thing, though, is I'd rather give that money back to our operators in the form of an incentive that aligns some of the foundational work that we're doing in marketing.
Thank you so much for closing us out this morning.